Hello everyone, and welcome to a chat summary of Overwatch League in Week 20, plus the Community MVP results from this week. The primary highlights from this week were the new Vancouver getting their first win, Shock sweeping both the Paris Eternal and the Washington Justice, and the Los Angeles Valiant defeating the Florida Mayhem. Getting into the first match, the Seoul Dynasty were defeated by the Guangzhou Charge 2-3. This left Seoul's record at 6 wins and 6 losses, with a map ratio of -6, and they ended up being 11th at the end of the week as this was their only match for the weekend. While Guangzhou left at 10 wins and 6 losses with a map ratio of 0, but they will play again later in the week. Moving on to the community MVP votes. Happy got the 3 points with his percentage of 69.2, Kron got the 2 points with his percentage of 57.7, and Prophet got the 1 point with his percentage of 38.5. Moving on to the next match of the day. The London Spitfire defeated the Chengdu Hunters 3-0. This left the London Spitfire's record at 5 wins, 6 losses, with a map ratio of -7, and the Hunters were left at 4 wins, 11 losses, and a map ratio of -13. Both teams will play again the next day, which is why their standings aren't there. Moving on to the community MVP votes. Glister got the 3 points with his percentage of 75, Babel got the 2 points with his percentage of 37.5, and JMac got the 1 point with his percentage of 29.2. Moving on to the final Asian match of day 1. The Hangzhou Spark defeated the New York Excelsior 3-2. This left Hangzhou's record at 7 wins and 7 losses, with a map ratio of -3, while the Excelsior were left at 11 wins, 4 losses, and a map ratio of +20. Both teams will play again the next day. Moving on to the community MVP votes. Architect from Hangzhou got the 3 points in his debut game for them with his percentage of 78.6. QOQ, also in his debut match, got 2 points with his percentage of 46.4, and Godspeed got the 1 point with his percentage of 28.6. Moving on to the next match of the week. The San Francisco Shock defeated the Paris Eternal 3-0. This left the Shock's record at 12 wins and 2 losses with a map ratio of +18, but they would play again the next day against the Justice. While the Eternal were left at 8 wins and 6 losses with a map ratio of +3, and they were left in 7th by the end of the weekend. Moving on to the community MVP votes. Striker got the 3 points with his percentage of 67.9, Ansan got the 2 points with his percentage of 64.3, and Twilight got the 1 point with his percentage of 60.7. Moving on to the next match. The Atlanta Reign defeated Toronto Defiant 3-0. This left the Reign's record at 6 wins, 6 losses, a map ratio of +6, and at the end of the weekend, they were left in 10th. While the Toronto Defiant were left at 5 wins, 8 losses, a map ratio of -3, and they were left in 13th by the end of the weekend. Moving on to the community MVP votes. Baby Vay got the 3 points with his percentage of 53.8, Edison got the 2 points with his percentage of 42.3, and Dogman got the 1 point with his percentage of 26.9. Moving on to the next match of the week. The Los Angeles Gladiators were defeated by the Houston Outlaws 1-3. This left the Gladiators' record at 5 wins and 6 losses with a map ratio of -2, and they were left 13th in the standings. While Houston were left at 6 wins and 10 losses with a map ratio of -10, and they were left 12th in the standings. Moving on to the community MVP votes. Dante got the 3 points with his percentage of 87.6, Linkster got the 2 points with his percentage of 41.9, and Hydration got the 1 point with his percentage of 32.3. Moving on to the next match. The Dallas Fuel were defeated by the new Vancouver Titans 0-3, giving the Titans their first ever win with this new roster. The Fuel were left at 4 wins and 8 losses with a map ratio of -10, and they were left in 16th in the standings. While Vancouver were left at 3 wins and 7 losses with a map ratio of -12, and they were left 18th in the standings. Moving on to the community MVP votes. Shockwave got the 3 points with his percentage of 82.8, Dalton got the 2 points with his percentage of 58.6, and Oni Gold got the 1 point with his percentage of 44.8. Moving on to the next match of the week. The Guangzhou Charge defeated the Hangzhou Spark 3-2. This left the Charge's record at 11 wins and 6 losses with a map ratio of +1, and they were left in 5th on the standings. While the Spark were left at 7 wins and 8 losses with a MAP ratio of -4, and they were left 9th in the standings. Moving on to the community MVP votes. Happy got the 3 points with his percentage of 60, Architect got the 2 points with his percentage of 56, and QOQ got the 1 point with his percentage of 32. Moving on to the next match. The Chengdu Hunters were defeated by the Shanghai Dragons 2-3 in a reverse sweep. The Chengdu Hunters were left at 4 wins and 12 losses, with a MAP ratio of -14, and they were left 17th in the standings. While the Shanghai Dragons were left at 16 wins and 2 losses, with a MAP ratio of +30, they have been left in first on the standings. Moving on to the community MVP votes. Fletter got the 3 points with his percentage of 47.8, Fearless got the 2 points with his percentage of 39.1, and Lip got the 1 point with his percentage of 30.4. Moving on to the next match of the week. The New York Excelsior defeated the London Spitfire 3-1. This left the Excelsior's record at 12 wins and 4 losses with a MAP ratio of +22. They were left 4th in the standings. While Shanghai were left at 5 wins and 7 losses with a MAP ratio of -9, and they were left 14th in the standings. Moving on to the community MVP votes. Nene got the 3 points with his percentage of 47.8, Dronak got the 2 points with his percentage of 43.5, and Glister got the 1 point with his percentage of 34.8. Moving on to the next match of the weekend. The Boston Uprising were defeated by the Philadelphia Fusion 0-3. This left the Uprising's record at 2 wins and 12 losses, with a MAP ratio of -28, and they are now still stuck in 20th in the standings. While Philly Fusion were left at 15 wins and 1 loss, with a MAP ratio of +30, and they have been left in 2nd in the standings. Moving on to the community MVP votes. Carpe got the 3 points with his percentage of 75.9, Alarm got the 2 points with his percentage of 55.2, and Funny Astro got the 1 point with his percentage of 24.1. Moving on to the second last match of the week. The Florida Mayhem were defeated by the Los Angeles Valiant, as the Valiant beat them 3-1. The Valiant were left at 8 wins and 6 losses, with a MAP ratio of +1, and they were left 8th on the standings. While the Mayhem were left at 10 wins and 5 losses, with a MAP ratio of +9, and they were left 6th on the standings. Moving on to the community MVP votes. Shax got the 3 points with his percentage of 87.9, KSP got the 2 points with his percentage of 75.8, and Yaki got the 1 point with his percentage of 21.2. Moving on to the last match of the weekend. The Washington Justice were defeated by the San Fran Shock 0-3. This left the Justice's record at 3 wins and 12 losses with a MAP ratio of -22, and they were left 19th in the standings. While the Shock were left at 13 wins and 2 losses with a MAP ratio of +21, and they were left 3rd in the standings. Moving on to the community MVP votes. Striker got the 3 points with his percentage of 52.2 percentage. Ansan got the 2 points with his percentage of 47.8, and Joy Yobin got the 1 point with his percentage of 34.8. Moving on to the Overwatch League standings. Shanghai remain in first, while the Fusion remain in second, Shock remain in third, and the Excelsior remain in fourth. The Charge are up 1 spot to 5th, and the Mayhem are down 1 to 6th. The Paris Eternal remain in 7th, Valiant remain in 8th, and Spark remain in 9th, while the Rain are up 2 spots to 10th. The Dynasty are down 1 spot to 11th, while the Outlaws have gone up 2 spots to 12th, and the Gladiators have gone down 2 spots to 13th. The Spitfire are up 1 spot to 14th, while the Defiant are down 2 spots to 15th, while the Fuel remain in 16th, and the Hunters remain in 17th. The Titans are up 1 spot to 18th, while the Justice are back down 1 spot to 19th, and Boston remain in 20th. Moving on to the standings for the community MVP votes. Carpe is in first on 38 points, in the same spot as last week, while Fletter remains in second on 31 points. Nero, Yaki, and KSP are all tied in third on 20 points, with Nero remaining in third, Yaki going up 1 spot to third, and KSP going up 2 spots to third. Jonak is in equals 6 on 19 points with Lip, with Jonak going up 2 spots and Lip going down 1 spot, while Decay is down 3 spots to 8th on 18 points, tied with Glister on 18 points, who is new to the top 10, while Dante is in 10th on 17 points, also new to the top 10. If you wish to pause the video and look at the top 10 for the damage dealers, tank players, and support players, pause the video and read them now. Thank you to the 50 people who voted in this week's Community MVP poll, and thank you to everyone who's watched this video, and please subscribe for more.